Did he cut the cord? Maybe just come out with the cord cut already now. Wait, she's still unconscious? This is insane. Is this your first time?
Oh my God.
That's not a great way to instill confidence in anybody. Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Mama Dr. Jones, a board certified ObGyn, mom to 4, and it's everybody's favorite time of the month. Much better than that other time of the month where we review an episode of TLC's famously entertaining I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant and ruin it with educational commentary. This episode is so insane. I know I've said that on a couple of episodes, but this one may be my favorite in the way of how much important medical and storyline information is just completely left out of the entire episode. This video is kindly sponsored by KiwiCo. We'll hear more about them in a minute.
Ashley was born with a hole in her heart. The condition makes her heart and lungs work much harder than normal to deliver oxygen to her body.
The doctors always told me that if I ever considered having children, it might be too risky on my heart. They said me going into labor or birthing a child would be too much strain and stress on my heart.
I wish they would have given a little more information as to what this is rather than just saying a hole in the heart, because people use that phrasing for many different things, and that doesn't really give me an idea of what's going on and how dangerous pregnancy is and what effects it might have on their body, because you can have a hole in the heart that's relatively insignificant and you can have a hole in the heart that is a really big deal. So I would like more information on what exactly she has.
3 or 4 times, my parents had to take me to the hospital with blood clots, either in my abdomen or my legs.
Ashley continues to have heart and circulation issues. By the time she turns 22, her history of blood clots now makes it even more dangerous for her to bear children. Here, when Ashley moves in with her boyfriend Dustin, the couple takes every precaution against getting pregnant.
This is good. If somebody has a history of blood clots in their legs, these are called DVTs or deep vein thromboses, and they are often exacerbated by pregnancy. Changes in the hormonal state in the body during pregnancy increase clotting risk in someone who is pregnant. Someone who has a baseline increased risk of having blood clots already is very much at an increased risk in pregnancy. So these people almost always will be treated with some kind of blood thinner if they get pregnant.
Ashley was taking birth control pills. The thought of having kids never crossed her mind.
And they can't take estrogen-containing birth control pills, or it's recommended that anybody who has a history of a blood clot not be on any estrogen-containing birth control pills, because estrogen is the hormone that increases that risk even more. So hopefully this person is taking a progesterone-only type of birth control.
She has to take antibiotics when she goes to the dentist because of her heart.
Tell them to prescribe you some antibiotics.
Got it covered.
After a visit to the dentist in April of 2006, Ashley starts a brief cycle of antibiotics.
I'm so irritated they're not telling us what the heart condition is.
Even though Ashley is on the pill, her menstrual cycles have always been irregular, averaging between 8 and 10 times a year. When her period does come, it can often be extremely light. When Ashley misses her period in May, she doesn't consider pregnancy as a possibility.
I didn't think anything of it because of my past with going months without periods.
On birth control pills, some people do have either very light or absent periods, and that's fine. It can be normal. We call this contraceptive amenorrhea, and it's not a problem. However, if you have this and you miss more than a couple of cycles, you should probably take a pregnancy test every so often if you're having sex with someone who can get you pregnant, just to make sure that you're not missing cycles because you're pregnant. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. So if you're missing periods, just get a couple of pregnancy tests and take them every few months just to be on the safe side.
In spite of her health problems, she works out 3 days a week. Being physically active helps Ashley stay slim throughout the summer of 2006.
I still wore a bikini and
My friend had that swimsuit in probably 2006. I feel like that was a really popular swimsuit from Victoria's Secret or something, but I just had so many flashbacks of hanging out with my friend when I was in college who had that swimsuit.
Ashley does gain 10 pounds. Towards the end of the summer, Ashley develops an unusual food craving.
I remember one time eating almost like a whole jar of pickles, and I remember somebody jokingly saying, "Ashley, are you pregnant?" And I just looked at him and laughed and said, "There's no way. I just love pickles." I've never had any morning sickness or...
For some reason, this really irritates me because it's such a common trope. We can have a video sometime about food cravings and things like that, but they do tend to be, if you look culturally everywhere, very cultural, meaning they're probably not inherent to the person or the actual craving as much as they are like socially constructed. And I know that probably just burst a few bubbles, but also like you're allowed to like pickles if you're not pregnant. So I know she is, and they're just making a point of that, but I would just like to say I eat a lot of pickles and not currently pregnant. So
Never complained to me about any lower back aches or having frequent bathroom breaks or anything like that. She seemed normal to me.
Then, on November 2nd,
what is this background music?
Ashley wakes up at 2 a.m. with an overwhelming pain in her abdomen.
I thought I was dying. I said, Dustin, I'm gonna drive myself to the hospital.
Give me a second, I'll take you.
No, you got work tomorrow. I'll be fine. Really?
Call me when you get there.
Okay.
The last thing I remember that morning was locking the apartment door behind me.
I'm sorry. That fall. Oh, man. I'm sure if you actually were going to pass out while walking in your yard, you would first hit your knees and then just fall face forward. That's definitely how it would happen.
Hey, ma'am?
About 30 minutes later, a neighbor arrives home and finds Ashley on
Wait, okay, so I thought that she told him, no, I'm going to take myself to the hospital. And he was like, no, that's not happening. But I must have misunderstood because it appears that he was like, I have to work tomorrow, so just...
Call me when you get there.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a great plan.
Ashley unconscious.
Oh, God. I'm gonna call 911. I have an emergency. My neighbor
plan.
collapsed on the front yard.
Did she drag her inside?
My neighbor collapsed on the front yard.
Don't ever do this. If someone is collapsed outside or anywhere, leave them where they are. Call 911 from where you are. Don't drag them around. They could have broken bones, like a collarbone, and you could have just paralyzed them. They could be the victim of a crime and you just completely contaminated the crime scene. Leave them where they are. If you need to do CPR or something, do it where they are.
He, and also one of Ashley's classmates from high school, responds to the call.
I knew it was Ashley when I walked through the front door. She was very sweaty.
I think I was in so much pain and it was so much stress for my heart that my body just, it shut off.
Why is she wet?
I don't know.
Is that blood?
That was so aggressive. Why is she so wet? I don't know. I just found her in the yard and drug her in my house.
The EMTs make a shocking discovery.
Whoa, she's crowning. Please. She's in labor?
Ashley is in labor and fully dilated, and she didn't even know she was pregnant. Her pajamas are wet because her water broke on its own while she was...
Wait, she's still unconscious and she's drowning? So in the process of finding her in the lawn, this lady drug her into the house while she was like actively, unconsciously delivering a baby? This is wild. This is insane.
Her water broke on its own while she was passed out on the lawn.
Is this your first time?
Yeah, I've never, oh my God.
I was so nervous because this was my first delivery ever.
You're gonna be okay, Ash. You're gonna be all right.
Oh my God, I love it so much. I love how their EMT's like, is this your first time? And the guy's like, yeah, I don't know, it is, and I know her, we went to high school together.
Is this your first time?
Yeah, I've never, oh my God.
Here's a pro tip. If there is a baby crowning and you are out somewhere that's not with someone who is used to doing this all the time, your job is to keep the situation calm. You don't ever keep the situation calm by announcing to everybody in a somewhat unusual tone that it's that guy's first time ever doing this.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's not a great way to instill confidence in anybody in an emergency situation.
Ash, you're gonna be all right. It's okay.
I felt like Gone with the Wind. I didn't tell my partner I don't know nothing about birthing babies.
No, you do. You got training in that. Bro, don't say that. Can you imagine? I mean, I know she's unconscious, but the lady that called 911 that's watching is like, that guy, the one that's supposed to be fixing the situation, he has no idea what he's doing.
I don't know nothing about birthing babies.
are extremely dangerous. To make matters worse, it's too late for her to make it to the hospital. She has to have the baby now with minimal medical assistance.
Minimal medical assistance is accurate based on the recreation of this.
True or false? Before you take a home pregnancy test, you should drink several glasses of water so that you can produce enough urine for the test. The answer when we return.
Thank you to the wonderful sponsor of today's video, KiwiCo. If there is a child in your life who loves hands-on learning and projects, KiwiCo is perfect for them. KiwiCo's monthly crates are designed by experts to teach STEAM topics like science, technology, engineering, art, and math in ways that are fun and hands-on for kids. KiwiCo has been a sponsor on this channel for a long time, and the reason is because my kids genuinely love their products, and as a science lover myself, I find KiwiCo to be a perfect way to get them to use their brain and empower them to learn in a way that they truly enjoy. Each crate comes with all the supplies needed for the project included, so there's no running to the store to get extra supplies, and they're perfectly customizable to the age of your child. We love them for learning at home, but they also provide so much family fun time for us as well. So if you'd like to try out KiwiCo and support my channel in the process, you can get your first month's crate for free by going to kiwico.com/mdj or clicking on the link in the description box below. Now, let's get back to the video.
The answer? False. Drinking too much fluid before taking the test may result in a false negative result. For the most accurate results, take the test first thing in the morning when your urine is most concentrated.
For the record, it will probably be accurate even if you take it another time unless you are very early pregnant. So if you ever take a pregnancy test and it's late afternoon and you've just drank some water and it's negative and you're still worried about it, take one first thing the next morning. Your urine just is more concentrated, which means there's more HCG per milliliter of fluid, which means it's more likely to pick up on a test.
My body just shut off.
Ashley's congenital heart condition makes the physical strain of labor and delivery extremely dangerous.
I'm still very irritated. I don't know what the heart condition is, okay? This might never stop bothering me.
I'm gonna need you to push.
That fall will always be the best.
Push, okay, honey?
All right, you're gonna be all right. Push, Ashley, you can do it.
She had come around enough to start being able to push.
One more push, Ashley, you can do it. Listen up now, you got this. Oh my God.
You're almost there, all right?
Ashley has just given birth vaginally to a baby girl without an epidural or any pain medication.
Did he cut the cord? Maybe just come out with the cord cut already now.
I don't remember her coming out. I don't remember feeling her coming out.
You got a baby. You seeing this?
No, I'm unconscious. I'm not seeing what's happening, actually. You're supposed to be making sure I'm not dying. Oh my gosh.
The EMTs cut the umbilical cord. While a few doors away, the commotion wakes Ashley's boyfriend, Dustin.
He hears it from his house. Okay, wait, so she passed out on her lawn and the lady drug her to her house? I guess I didn't process that, but how far did she have to drag her body? Oh my God, that's awful.
I go outside and Ashley's car is still parked in the driveway and I see her purse laying on the ground.
Look at the background. There's 5 baby dolls in the background of this shot. I mean, I know I don't have a lot of room to talk because I just moved into this little office space that's not decorated or like well laid out yet, but that background, you know, someone was like, all right, we're here to film. What we're gonna do is put this nice quilt in the window over here on this side. And the other nice quilt, will drape it on the couch and you sit right here. You know, this looks a little bit empty. I know, let's put 5 baby dolls in the background. That, perfect.
Hello?
I'm worried. I think maybe if it was a blood clot, one of them broke loose.
Good job, Ashley, you did it. Hello?
So he just randomly found the house that they were in. I do not understand how this played out. I need more information.
Hi, Dustin, you're a new daddy.
He's like, excuse me? Can you imagine? He just walks in and he goes, oh, I know that guy from high school. What's up? Here's your baby. Oh, there's no learning in this episode. It's just crazy.
That's how I found out that Ashley's pregnant. It's like that right there. I think I kind of had an out-of-mind experience. Thought I was still dreaming. Couldn't believe it.
Okay, we gotta get her out of here.
Thanks, Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, we gotta get her out of here.
She's not pregnant.
Ashley is...
No, you're right, she's not.
Her heart condition means that both mother and child need immediate life-saving medical care.
I came to a little bit in the ambulance.
Did I have a car accident?
No, honey, you just had a baby.
What?
Mama, Ashley.
It didn't sink in that I had had a child.
Her reaction is the most normal out of anyone's. To wake up from being unconscious and think you had a car accident is like a very normal response. And then so they're just like, oh no car accident. Actually, you're all good. Just, you did have a baby, you know. That's also a big life-changing event, but no car accident, so congratulations.
What do we got?
3 pounds, 1 ounce.
At the hospital, doctors find the 3-pound, 1-ounce newborn to be about 10 weeks premature. Ashley...
Okay, first off, I'm glad they're including a premature delivery because they never do that. Second, that baby in this video must weigh at least like 15 pounds. That is really bad. Can't you just at least get like a doll or something? I would much rather see a 3-pound doll than a actual like 3-month-old pretending to be 3 pounds.
Ashley has been pregnant for around 30 weeks and never even knew it.
Respiration 1.
Respiration 1.
I'm sorry, what? Respiration 1? No. A normal respiratory rate in an adult is like 12 to 15 breaths per minute. So respirations is how many breaths you're taking per minute. A normal respiration rate in a newborn is like 30 to 60 breaths per minute. 1 is like basically dead, and maybe that was the actual respiration rate if the baby was in distress because it was premature and born outside a hospital and had no oxygen supplementation. But this baby in this video does not have a respiration rate of 1.
At barely over 3 pounds, baby Audrey is in dire condition. Her stomach, heart, and lungs are underdeveloped. Her premature immune system also puts her at high risk for infection.
They discovered that her lungs weren't completely developed, so they had to put her on a breathing machine to let her lungs and stomach develop
That makes
properly.
sense.
I got a phone call. Dustin said,
So very well, the baby's respiratory rate could have been incredibly low, but they shouldn't have depicted it with that baby just wiggling around being all normal and healthy.
Mother, we didn't know we were pregnant, and Ashley just gave birth to a little girl. And I'm shaking my head like,
Did they just show her walking out to the waiting room with him? So she had the baby. Also, no placenta. Don't worry. This baby grew to be 3 pounds and 30 weeks without a placenta developing at all, so no need to deliver that. And I am great now. I was half dead, unconscious. I have a heart condition and a history of blood clots in my legs, but you know, now that the baby's out, we're good. I just prance out to the waiting room and let my in-laws know. This episode is wild.
The strain of labor resulted in Ashley's near coma-like state during delivery because of her heart condition.
What condition?
Fortunately, she quickly recovers and is well enough to visit her daughter within 2 days. After 5 weeks in the hospital, baby Audrey, now 6 pounds, is finally healthy enough to go home.
I'm happy that they included this one because it doesn't have just a happy, healthy, full-term baby included as the topic here, which is rare for these shows, as you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while. The preterm delivery is not surprising in someone who doesn't know they are pregnant, especially because she has decreased weight gain, meaning she didn't gain the recommended amount of weight, which is associated with a higher incidence of preterm labor. And she is not getting prenatal care, which is also associated with higher incidence of preterm labor. So I think that this is a good episode to maybe be a little bit more of a realistic representation.
Doctors suspect that Ashley conceived in April after her dental visit. Most likely, the antibiotics she was taking interfered with the birth control pill.
If a patient...
Okay. All right. Let's talk about antibiotics and birth control pills because that's probably not correct. Antibiotics, by and large, do not interfere with birth control pills. Rifampin is a rarely used antibiotic that can interfere, and there are some others that are also rarely used, but if you're having a dental procedure done, you're most likely getting a run-of-the-mill penicillin or cephalosporin or something like that, and those do not make your birth control less effective. We have done a ton of studies on this, and this is a falsehood. I know it used to be something that people thought happened frequently, but it's not true. There's lots of literature on this. So I disagree with what TLC just said. That is very unlikely. The type of antibiotics you'd get before a dental procedure is very unlikely to cause your birth control not to work. Of course, you should always ask your pharmacist and make sure, but most antibiotics will not interfere with birth control pills. If she was on a progesterone-only pill, which is hopefully what she was on because of her blood clot history, those pills are slightly less effective to begin with and also very sensitive to being taken at the exact same time every day, much more so than combined pills. So those pills, progesterone-only pills, although they work really well when taken every single day at the same time, a little bit of fluctuation in a pill or even one missed pill will significantly increase your risk of pregnancy. So I would say that's much more likely what happened.
What is most surprising is that although Ashley craved foods like pickles, she barely gained any weight, a telltale sign of pregnancy.
From the time that I met Ashley, she weighed maybe 99 pounds, and then when she had Audrey, at most, she probably weighed 110.
Ashley did not show any typical symptoms of pregnancy.
I never saw her with any nausea or mood shifts.
I mean, that picture is great, but 2 months before she gave birth, she was only like 20 weeks pregnant, right? So especially if you start out very tiny and don't gain very much weight, a lot of people don't look very pregnant at 20 or 22 weeks.
Or with any nausea or mood shifts.
While I was pregnant, I never had any morning sickness or nausea.
Everybody doesn't have nausea in pregnancy. I think that that's something that a lot of people do experience, probably about half, but it's not super rare for people not to have that as a symptom.
2 years later, in spite of the unusual circumstances of her birth, Audrey is a healthy 2-year-old. After years of being told she might not even survive childbirth, Ashley is finally a mother.
I have a saying that I tell everybody all the time, that every day is a miracle, fight for it. And from the day she was born, she has literally fought for her life.
I'm so glad that baby Audrey and her mom both did really well. I am a little perturbed with this episode because I would like to know more about what was going on with Ashley. She had a very significant presentation at the time of delivery where she was unconscious, what they're saying, because of heart disorder, but then they made no follow-up as to how they treated her in the hospital afterwards or how long it took her to recover, which I find to be really interesting. If she has such a severe heart condition that she was unconscious during labor, you would think they would add in like what happened to her while she was in the hospital, but who knows? Maybe I'm the only person on the planet who cares about the person having the baby. I hope that you learned something today. If you're new here and you'd like to subscribe, we would love to have you. I talk about all things periods, pregnancy, and everything between. Hit that like button if you liked today's video. Hit subscribe if you want to stick around, and I will see you next Monday. And check out KiwiCo, our lovely sponsor. Link is in the description.